Hello and welcome to Never Fall. Big day, big results. Falling apart like flies after being in the lead. Chelsea, Spurs, they let their fans down today. Both teams had the lead. They should have seen this game out. Arsenal waiting tomorrow to be 8 points ahead of Man City, of course, who smashed Burnley today. Another hat-trick for Erling Haaland, of course. Guys, welcome to the stream. I'm going to start with Souls. How are you doing today? How are you feeling? And how's everything going with you? You're waiting for tomorrow, of course. 8 points. You want to be 8 points before the break.
Oh, yeah, man. No, it's been a good day of football today. And obviously now we're topping it off with, obviously, the show tonight and the UFC is on as well. So, yeah, I can't complain, man. It's a good weekend.
Roy, how are you feeling? You look so upset again.
Yeah, then this is a game we're in control of. We fought hard to get the 2-1 lead, and then we chuck it all away just by losing concentration, and yeah, 2 points dropped, so not happy.
Yeah, Alan, how's everything? How's everything? Let me just
It's a lot. It's not good. I'll be honest. I'm probably going to vent a lot, rant a lot, and everything in the show. So, yeah, we'll get into it at some point, but I can't stand the way things are at the moment with my club. Simple as.
Yeah. Michael, how are you doing today? Man United, you're through. Europa League, FA Cup, Man City are 6-0 today. You're not scared, or are you?
I'm a little scared. Erling Haaland's kind of, what does he have, like 8 goals in like 3 days or something like that? That's crazy. But nah, just trying to secure that trip to Wembley. And Spurs definitely helped us today because they also got me cooked on Twitter today because I said they're third and then they blew their lead and they got me quote. I have like 100 quote tweets on my head the last couple of days because of the top 4 race, but it's okay. We move with that.
How's everybody doing, like, in terms of like the break? You guys are happy about the break, or some teams are gonna be, some teams are not gonna be, of course, about the break? I want to start with Alan. Is that a break needed for the team?
Yeah, and let's hope that after this break, somebody isn't in charge of this, managing this team anymore. Because I've been Conte out since October, and I've had my fill. So this break hopefully comes at the right time. Get him out. Get whoever it is next that you're going to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, I made a mistake in the adding people, but you see Mike on the screen twice. But anyway, we got Alan back with us, of course. Alan, I think you're back. I think your connection. Maybe I made a mistake or something. But let me just keep going and asking Roy. I want to talk to Alan, but yes, you're back with us. You're back with us. Somehow happened to connection. But anyway, people, make sure to hit that like button for me, please. Please make sure to hit that like button. It's free. It doesn't cost you a penny. I'm sorry. I'm sick today. Go ahead. You go ahead. Alan is cutting out a little bit for some reason.
Me?
Thank you, everybody that joined us. Let me just pick up the people. Sid is here with us as well. Jarvis. Yes. For some reason, you're cutting out. For some reason, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, just go check your router. Conte might be tampering with it.
Conte.
Conte's there, like, plugging it in and out, fam. He's like, nope. Conte out, nope, plug it out.
Maybe you can join again, Alan, for some reason. Let's go to, I want to talk about Spurs. Souls, Spurs let down did they let down the manager, or the whole team let down the fans? This is what I want to know. It's like, because it looks like Antonio Conte is running with this narrative that they let him down, that they're not good enough. Is that how you see it?
Do you know what it is, right? Like, I talk from experience being an Arsenal fan in the last sort of few years as well. There are times where we blame the players, and there's times where we blame the manager. And I think when you're 3-1 up, that's what the manager's job is, to get you into the lead and get you into that position. And yes, the players have to carry out the instructions, the players have to go and do it. But when you're 3-1 up, at that point, the players have to have some form of common sense and go, let's actually try defend this. We're 3-1 up. We don't need to score another goal. Goal difference isn't really the factor. We need the 3 points. You know, you've got Newcastle breathing down your neck. You've got Liverpool potentially breathing down your neck. You've got a few teams in and around that kind of conversation. And top 4 isn't a given right now, you know, especially with the situation that, you know, Spurs find themselves in. So when you find yourself 3-1, I don't understand why you're giving them so much, why you become bozos at the back. That's where I agree with Conte. That's where I agree that, you know, what were they playing at? Because, you know, whether you want to talk about quality of the players, or whether they're good enough or whether they're bad enough, but it's Southampton, the 20th, and you're competing for top 4. You know, the level of quality shouldn't really be a question. And I just think no one sat there and gone, you know what, let's take control. Let's just dominate possession. Let's move the ball around. Let's make it slow. Let's make it hard for them to even have a hoping chance of getting back. So I do get it. I'm a little bit with Conte, because I do think these defenders, especially, and potentially the midfield, have definitely let them down today. But all season, I'm going to blame the attackers, because they've, like Son, for example, hasn't been good enough. Kulu's been, I mean, he's been injured, so I'm not going to get onto him. Richarlison, every time he's been called upon, hasn't done enough. So the only person is Harry Kane. You know, it's like the only guy. If it wasn't for him, I don't know where your club. You know what? Your club would be worse. You'd be fighting with Southampton without Harry Kane right now. So it's just one of them ones where I don't really know who to. I mean, I don't watch Spurs like week in, week out. Like, you know, obviously, I kind of watch them, but I don't watch them. So my thing today was no one decided to do any game management. I get it. Conte's got to kind of imprint it into them, but at that level, when you're meant to be a top team or a top 6 team, common sense has to prevail at some point. You know, I say to Arsenal players every time, it's like, when you're at that scoreline, you don't just open your legs and allow them to come back. You know, when it goes to 3-2, at that point, something in those players' heads should have gone, okay, maybe we just try and hold on. But even at that point, they decided, no, fuck it, let's just try and go for the 4th, let's try and go for the 5th. And that's what happens. You know, it's a lapse of concentration for the final moment. Some are going to say, you know, whether it's a penalty or not, but I just don't think it should have gotten to that point to begin with, you know, to even get it to 3-3. So, but that's just my take on it.
I'm just going to let Alan respond, and I'm just going to tell you something, Gunnar Souls. They are actually the 3rd best attack in the league, but they are the 13th worst defense in the league.
Yeah. Hence why more emphasis on the defense, yeah. Well, go on, Alan. Go on.
Yeah, so I've had enough. I mean, I know that this board at Spurs, like our owners and all that, are absolutely horrendous. I'm aware of this. I know there's quite a lot of players out there that are absolute trash. My biggest problem this season, one of the biggest problems, is Conte. He's so stubborn and he is so caught up in his own ego that he's sitting there throwing these players under the bus. Some of them are right and all that, but he's not taking accountability for him, players week in, week out. He's the one picking the team. You're selfish. You're putting the same goddamn players on week in, week out, not changing up well enough. The team is absolutely shattered. If all these players are selfish that you're playing and you're bitching about them, why are they starting? It makes no sense. He's saying about players, oh, you can't do this, you can't improve and all that. I'm sorry, the football we were playing towards the end of last season, getting top 4, with a better squad, apparently, because we got all the people in and we had a better squad. This season, we've regressed. Look what Ten Hag's doing with Man United. Completely changed bad form around and won them a trophy, and they're still with a shout number 2. Look what Arteta's done. It's taken 3 years, but Conte's halfway through that, and we're going backwards, and going backwards fast. Now, let's look at it. This season, we've lost 8 in the league. Any other normal season with a Chelsea or anyone like that performing, we would be lower down than what we are. We're lucky to be where we are based on the fallacy of 2 other teams, Liverpool and Chelsea, underperforming. And he's got the nerve to be like, oh, I'm Conte. The thing is, Conte cannot perform unless it's 1 game a week. For me, I said he was an elite manager when he came in. He's not an elite manager. He is a falsehood. I don't care. I don't think he's as elite as everyone says. He's found out exactly like Mourinho and that did. The funds aren't there, so you can't get everything you want, so you can't win trophies. And that's the thing we have to do until a ball change. Any manager's going to be crapped on. For me, Conte is is culpable as well as players are, as well as the owners are. It's across the board. I think I'm the only Spurs fan that actually can give out equal blame, whereas some Spurs fans go, no, it's just the owners. Some will go, it's the players. I'm across the board. It's every single person. But Conte is not innocent in all this. He has to take the blame. And yeah, he's poor.
But do you not think the owners, it's fair when certain Spurs fans do emphasize the owners? Because let's be honest, let's look at your window. I say Perisic and Kulusevski and Benton Cora, maybe the three players that he's definitely got a say in. But the rest of them, are they really his players?
But the only one he came out before the start of the season was Jed Spence, and he went, "That's not why it's a club signing." So you haven't. That's the only one you've come out and said about, and now all of a sudden it gets to this, and now you're bitching. It's you've got what 20, 21, 22 games in, maybe even more than that now. I can't recall, but you're now complaining about things. You're meant to be Antonio Conte. You're happy to kick off in the press conference, but you can't do it week in, week out, or go to these players that are underperforming. Son, last season you gave me 25. You've only given me 6 goals this season. You're not good enough. On the bench more. Who else at the back? Romero, 42 million, but before the World Cup, you didn't perform. On the bench you go. No, he didn't do any of this. He's played the same players literally we sit so far back, so deep. Our weak point, anyone can see, our weak area is the defence, which weren't addressed, which obviously Conte, as a defensive pragmatic manager, didn't have a say in getting some defenders in. I'm sorry, he in that aspect as well, he should have kicked up a fuss. If you can do it during the season when your team's playing badly, you can also kick up a fuss before the season starts, saying, I'm not getting in the players I want, to everyone, not just I didn't want to spend.
On that, yeah. So if, let's say, for example, he takes Romero out and puts in an on paper inferior player, and these results happen, are you accepting it?
What if
let's say, for example, Romero. Let's take Romero as an example. You said before, the World Cup, that he wasn't performing or whatever. Say, for example, he takes Romero out. Obviously, whoever comes in is going to be inferior in terms of on paper. Would you accept it at that point?
Yeah, I would. I've been crying out for most of the season for Son to be dropped. Because he weren't performing. I was like, you need to. It's giving a player a wake up call. If they're not performing, yet they're playing. Also, the people on the bench going, hold on. He's dropping 4 out of 10s the entire season. He's barely scoring. He's barely performing. Not just Son, but same Romero. He's turning out shit performance after shit performance before the World Cup. Where is he? The same is like that. Eric Dyer. Antonio Conte says he can make him one of the best in back three. What is he smoking? What is Antonio Conte smoking to even say something like that? You've got, obviously, for majority of the season, Emerson Royale was doing absolutely nothing before he put 5 or 6 performances in. And loads of Spurs fans were going, my right back, my go. I'm like, no, he's not good enough. Because he puts 5 or 6 performances on, they think he's brilliant. And I'm like, no, like Lloris was dropping clanger after clanger. It got for him to be injured before Forster got a go. I'm not saying Fraser Forster is the man or a great quality keeper, but when you have people that are playing bad and comfortable, that's when complacency happens. And Conte's feeding into that by not making these changes and not shaking things up. So he's bitching in the press conference, but he's culpable for it. It makes no sense.
I want to get Roy here. Conte was your manager before. He made the likes of Cal, the likes of Luis, made him he made these guys way better than what I think made them way better than what they actually are. So why he can't do the same for Spurs? Do you think he overestimated these players, Roy?
I think with Conte teams, if everyone's buying in and everything's going well, then you've got a very dangerous team on your hand. And we saw that last season when they made that top 4 charge where everybody was bought in, everyone knew their jobs. Kane was soaring, Son was scoring, Kulusevski was doing his thing, the defense was in decent shape. When everything's going well for a Conte team, they're a very, very good outfit. But obviously, I think now we're not only seeing things not going so well, as in on the pitch, but off the pitch. I don't think the dynamic between Conte and the squad is in particularly good shape. So I think we're now seeing that reflected in Conte's press conferences where he's saying, oh, these players aren't good enough. Oh, the level of Tottenham's not so high, or what did he say today? He's like, these guys are like they're losers or they can't win. Like there's a mentality problem. And my opinion on Conte is that I just don't think he's not a manager that can win. I don't think he's a manager that can win this title anymore. I just think his tactics, they're not progressive enough. They're not really. He hasn't really gone with the times. He sort of stood still, and now he's watched teams catch up to him. Where previously, like if you saw Antonio Conte in this league, like when he was with us, we won a title, and that was the team that's a lot better than the Tottenham team because we had a title-winning team. We just had a horrible season. But my main issue with Conte is that I just don't think he's made his tactics more progressive as football's evolved, and he's sort of become left behind where it's at a point where he needs certain type of profiles which a lot of managers wouldn't use, and then he's very demanding. Like it's just not quite right at Spurs at the moment. And I think he's probably going to leave at the end of the season, and hopefully Spurs can find someone. I think Amorim would be a good fit for Spurs because he does play a back three. I think his back three is a lot more progressive and looks to dominate the ball a lot more than Conte's does. So in terms of what would be a smooth transition into somebody more progressive, I think that would be a good shout. But also, I'm not sure how Alan feels about this, but I think they just need to, like, Conte is the root cause out of all of this. So I think you just rip him out, get someone completely different in, get someone who's going to play progressive football, back 4-3-3, 4-3-1, whatever it is, and then you just go from there rather than the whole transition into maybe a back three but a tiny bit more progressive. But I'll let Alan respond to that.
Yeah, no, like I said, I can't wait for him to leave my club. I just, I'll take him, the manager you just named. I'll take Derby from Brighton.
Yeah, Derby's a good shout.
Yeah, I'd take Gallardo, who was the River Plate manager. I would take him at Spurs. I just want. It's not just good football I want to watch because let's be honest, the football has been quite poor recently at Spurs. I don't just want good football. I want winning football, and I actually want to win stuff, which can be done, but it's just. I don't know. It's just the clubs are met. I want to win stuff, and it can be done. Conte, Pochettino got us from 8th and 6th for like what it was, and then he progressed us up to challenging for a title and challenging for the Champions League. So it can be done. It's just that when the time came to go, here's your one or two extra players. No, thanks. We'll keep the same 11, and we will have one or two on the bench that you maybe had to call on. And they sold him a little bit short. Extra money, he probably could have won a cup. I'm not saying he would have won Champions League, but he could have done something and won a trophy. But that's all to say. If it ain't the manager that's not good enough or the wrong appointment, it's the ball not backing them, not giving them the funds. And we're always strapped. And that's the thing. I said it on the terrace earlier on. I'll say it again now. When you look at Spurs, the advertising for our stadium, it says we host NFL, we host gigs and concerts and everything like it. And the last bit that they say is we also host football matches as well. We are seen as a football club last by our own fucking owners, and it really annoys me. Sorry for swearing, but I can't stand everything about this club at the moment. It's rotten to the core, and it won't change until there's massive change at the top, in middle, and even get rid of loads of deadwood, because there's still players here that have been here for 9 to 10 years. Still players who have been here even under, I think they came in under AVB or something like that. It was Lloris who's the oldest. And you still got or Sherwood. You've got 5 or 6 players still there that have been there that's not good enough. And for some reason, we go, they're good enough for Spurs. They're not. They're not.
Michael, you were kind of in a similar position the last 2-3 years, and then you just got one manager, Ten Hag, couple of signings, which is I'm comparing Bissouma to Casemiro. They wanted a defensive midfielder. You wanted one. You didn't get your first choice. But is it just a difference in managers? Just Ten Hag is a progressive manager, an up-to-date one, while Conte is just an expired coach that can't take the club forward. Is that the only reason? Because you don't like your owners, the fan base, they don't like the owners. Spurs are the same. So what's the difference? It's only the manager then, isn't it?
It's part of it, but I also think with Spurs, the issue is like the managers they're going after. The reason why Pochettino was so well, he's a project manager and he had a young squad around him that was like beginning their careers and were ready to hit like different heights. Now you're seeing Conte, Mourinho, they were buying the older version of players. I think Spurs just need to take everything out. I like the Ruben Amorim shot. I think he's a perfect manager for Spurs. That should definitely be the number one target in the summer. We just bought his best player as well in Pedro Porro, so he's gonna have someone that he's familiar with. They bought Udogi from Udinese. That's another left wing back that they could play. So they bought players with the system, and those are the kind of signings that Spurs should continue making. Not your older players, because that's not Spurs. Spurs are like, I think the expectations by getting a Jose and Conte, it raised them to levels that they're not ready to be at, in my opinion. With Conte and Mourinho was like ready to win Premier Leagues and stuff like that, and I don't think those managers with that kind of squad cannot do that. And those are the expectations those kind of managers bring, because they're prestigious. Like I remember Jose, that press conference that Conte had today was exactly the same as Jose after we lost to Sevilla, bringing up the football heritage part. Conte pretty much said today, I'm bigger than Spurs. That's pretty much what his press conference is about. That's what he was saying. And I just think with Spurs, they need to tear it up. The owners aren't issued. They just need to go up. They need to go back to kind of how they were when first Pochettino came, and even Villas-Boas, project manager, buy younger players, and those kind of players will want to fight for the club. These players have been here for so long. That hunger is kind of gone from them. So I think Conte isn't the only problem. It's like the players, like Eric Dyer. Why is that guy still here? Yes, he'll give up like a couple months that he does good to kind of get back into the English squad, and then he'll stink it up. Heung-min Son, I agree with what Alan said. He should have been benched a long time ago. You bought Danjuma in January. I haven't seen Danjuma play.
Yeah, why is Danjuma playing?
That's something I really don't understand. It's kind of weird.
Like, it's weird with Conte. It's a stubbornness that Alan said. He's a very stubborn guy, and I just think with Spurs, he should have been sacked tonight.
But he wanted Danjuma, right, Alan?
Yeah, it's weird.
Why take him from Everton?
He's basically saying he didn't want him. Conte, I mean, if Conte doesn't want a player, he won't play him. So he's saying, so Danjuma was pretty much a club signing. But here's the thing, when your front line isn't working, and you can quite clearly see, like you saw at the end of Southampton today, Son was out on his feet, Kane was out on his feet and all that. And literally, you should be making these changes and just giving something different. And he won't. It leads back to the same thing. He's complaining these players are selfish and not playing for the team, this and the other, but he won't change things up. So what are you doing it on purpose to cause problems with the board and say, this is what you're giving to me? Is he doing it on purpose? Because then he's basically saying these players are bad, but then he's being selfish and not changing things. So he's being a hypocrite. This is what I don't get with Conte. This is another thing why I want him gone.
So last thing, who do you want to coach your club? Would you take Pochettino back?
No, I don't want Pochettino back.
So who would you want? Would you want a top manager? Would you want the likes of Luis Enrique? Would you like the likes of, or would you like a rebuilding coach, that's someone that hasn't coached in the higher division yet?
I think Roy was like that type of manager, what Roy said. And then obviously the Zerbi, I butcher names, I apologise.
Which one? Did Zerbi? Did Zerbi from Brighton?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A progressive manager who plays, it's not all about like playing good football. I think from what he's done when he's come into Brighton, considering who Brighton lost, Potter, Cucurella, obviously Caicedo wants to go, but you know, he's got good players there, but he's taken them onto another level from what Potter had. So I think he's very competent and very capable. He knows the Premier League because he's managing it and he's doing well there. So I would take him. And like I said, I like the way Gallardo played at River Plate, the team he had, and the attacking player that they had. So I'd play that. But you've got quality attacks there, quality attackers at your club. Your defence isn't all that. So you want to try and play on the front foot to capitalise on what you've got rather than just sitting back. And it's not just a thing like, oh, we're defensive. Sometimes when we let teams have the ball under Conte, we basically sit back in our own formation and don't do anything. Those defenders, as soon as they get past the midfield, which is quite often because we play two, those defenders flap at everything. They're all over the place because they're absolutely nervous because they're not as good as what other teams are. You put a quality back line in there, then you could probably hold out or do the type of things you're doing and have more success like you were at Mourinho at the beginning when we were obviously doing well under Mourinho before it all went wrong. But because we haven't got the best defence, as soon as they get past us, and our defence is all over the place, like you saw Southampton. Southampton tore us apart at the back when they got behind, like past the midfield. And it's one of them things where I don't understand why you're going, you know, attack us where we're weakest, because you're seeing by, I think, what you said, 13th and 14th in goals conceded. That's how bad we are.
Your defense is worse than Crystal Palace, for example.
Exactly. That's astonishing. What I'm saying. And you go attack our weak area. It's ridiculous.
Okay, I want to move on from Spurs and move to Chelsea a little bit.
So do I.
Yeah. No, because I feel at least Spurs don't spend that much. And where did it go wrong today? Were you happy with the performance, Roy, about Chelsea today? Were you happy with the way you approached the game? I was in and out of the game. I'm sick. I couldn't watch the whole game. But every time I'm looking up, Everton, they are like trying to attack. They weren't that scared from Chelsea. You created some chances. Reece James was good. But I thought like your midfield wasn't the greatest today. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I didn't watch the whole game, but
As in, I thought the performance was good apart from just some individual errors, really. Like, I think for the last goal, you've got to look at Koulibaly. To go in aggressively like that and get turned is unforgivable, especially for someone so experienced. You would not expect him to be doing that. And then Kepa could have done better for the first goal. Could have done better for the second goal. And obviously, like, it's situations like that which make us like realize that we do need a new goalkeeper in summer. Like, he hasn't been that terrible so far. Like, he's had good moments, he's had not so good moments, but he's still not good enough to be the number one of Chelsea Football Club if we want to, like, if we want to win titles, if you want to win Premier League, if you want to win Champions Leagues. And I know he did win the Champions League with us, but he was a bit part player back then. Like, if we want to be consistently at the top, winning the big trophies every season, I just don't think Kepa's good enough. And in terms of the overall performance, like I said, I thought the performance was actually all right. I think it warranted 3 points. We just threw away just due to individual errors. I think Potter made poor substitutions. Like, to take the lead and then bring on Conor Gallagher 5 minutes later is just a one-way ticket to losing complete control of the game, because we know that he can press hard, we know that he can run around, we know that he can get the ball back every now and again. But I've always said that the best way to defend is to keep the ball and control the game. And taking off Pulisic, who wasn't exactly fantastic today, didn't really light it up, but has got better ball retention than Gallagher, I just think was a poor decision. Bringing off João Felix, again, a top technician, can retain the ball, can help us create more chances and score more goals. Taking him off for Carney, not good enough. I think taking off Fofana completely unsettled the back five. And
why did he take him off? Why?
I think he was. I think he felt a bit of like it was fatigue, and also he felt something in his hamstring because he had it strapped up after the game. But yeah, taking him off for Chalobah, I just don't think was a correct decision. I personally would have brought on Mudryk instead. I would have brought on Madueke. I would have brought on Cucurella maybe. I know Badiashile had a good game, but I feel like he could have easily been moved to the middle, and then Cucurella could have been brought on. So, and obviously we didn't even get to see Conte as well. The Conte that everyone's been hyping. Oh, he's finally back in training. He's back in the matchday squad. We didn't even get to see him, which was annoying. And yeah, so I just think the substitutions were poor. Like I said, I think the performance actually did warrant 3 points. It's just individual errors cost us. So not for the first time this season. We've deserved 3 points, but we haven't picked them up.
Anybody else want to like talk about Chelsea? The problem with me is that, are we seeing signs that this team can improve next year? And okay, the amount of investment, they have to result into challenging for the title, not only doing top four. It has to result in that. That's just my opinion. I'm not sure if anybody else disagree with this, and this is how I see
I don't
it.
think we can challenge. I just don't think we can challenge under Potter. I'm going to be honest.
Yes, that is what I wanted to ask. Is that the right way to take the club forward? Because your owner invested a lot. You know, when you invest a lot in the company, you want to see results. And the results with that much money is challenging the likes of Arsenal, Man City, Man United next year. Are anybody seeing signs under Graham Potter that it's happening next year? I'm not seeing it.
I don't think they can challenge for the title, but I have seen in last month the performances have gotten better. But like he said, the substitutions was the issue. Like Potter, he needs to realize he's at Chelsea. You can't be making reactive substitutions and kind of sitting back against Everton. Like no, exactly. But it's Everton, bro. There's no one in that attack scares you, bar Demarai Gray. Like it's Everton, and I think like the Conor Gallagher, like it's just you need to be proactive. And sometimes, like Roy said, the best attack sometimes, the best defense is sometimes attacking, like just keeping the ball. And I think with Potter, he needs to realize that at Chelsea, that trying to like sit back, it's not Brighton anymore. It's Chelsea. But the performances are gone. But I thought the fullbacks were amazing today. Ben Chilwell was a threat every single time he got on the ball. He created some chances. So at least we're starting to see some improvement. They've definitely been better than a month ago, but I don't think Potter is the answer long term. But what Potter can do is kind of build a system and like stability in Chelsea in terms of player, and then have a top manager come in after him and put that instill that mentality to win that title, I think someone can do that. So that's probably the best hope for Chelsea. But I think they could challenge for a title maybe in 2 years if they get the right manager, but definitely not next year.
Yeah, I agree.
Many teams ahead of him.
I'm not sure, but they need a top manager. They need someone, a winner. You know what I mean? Someone with a winning mentality. Someone will believe that they can win the title. You might not win it. You might come second, but someone that believe that they can win the title. That's my opinion. Souls, Alan, you want to weigh in the Chelsea situation? Champions League, of course, is their ultimate goal this season. Now, it doesn't look like they're going to get top 4. They might get Conference League or Europa League, but maybe, who knows? With people falling like this, it's just... Oh, Alan, I'm not sure. Go ahead.
I don't think they need a winning manager. I think Potter can do the job, and I'll tell you for why. Obviously, people are judging. People are judging Potter based on. Am I going again? Everything seems clear on my side. Everything good?
It's okay. Go ahead. No, we can hear you well now. Yes.
Hello? Anyone hear me?
I don't think he can hear us. Yeah, we can, but he can't hear us. Go ahead, Souls. I don't think it's just something from his side. I don't know what it is.
Do you know? I do agree to some degree that they do need like a manager that's going to breed that confidence in winning. But it kind of depends on kind of what Todd Bowley has planned for Chelsea. It's not about what we think they'll do. Because if Todd Bowley is coming in and saying, do you know what, I kind of want a project, I want long-term sustained, DNA or a philosophy to this club rather than what Roman's done, which is chop and change and, kind of he's breeded winning, and in the last sort of 2 decades, they have been the most successful club. But at the same time, it will catch up to you, and there will be periods of, well, are you really competing? Because let's be honest, like all they do is compete for one thing. And does Todd Bowley want to sit there and go, do you know what? Yes, they win a Champions League, but nothing else. Does he want to come in and go, I want Potter to come in and build a team, or someone else to come in and build a team that is going to get us competing in the FA Cup, get us competing in the Carabao Cup, competing in the league and competing in the Champions League, not just one at a time. He might want to go for the sets. He might want to go for, I want complete domination, which they're yet to see, because I haven't seen Chelsea dominate, every single competition and stamp that authority yet, like a Man City have, like Liverpool were close to doing, so, and I get it, they were in the final twice as well, but then the Champions League and the Premier League drop-off happened, so maybe that's what he's looking at. I don't know. I mean, it kind of stems to what Bowley's looking at and what his sort of, because he's looking like he's getting a team in League On soon as well, so he's probably going through that sort of what the Abu Dhabi owners did at City, where they start getting these like sort of feeder clubs and other clubs where they're going to loan their players out and mutually benefit from everything that they're doing. And that's how I see it. And I think that's probably step one, is bringing someone like a Graham Potter to get a philosophy and a DNA and a backbone to the club, and then building on that with the next phase, which might be, let's say Graham Potter does develop to become that manager, then cool, he stays. If not, you get rid of him and you bring in those like breeded winners, like potentially like a Luis Enrique, someone who's kind of been there, done a treble, or whoever else is available at that time. That's just my personal opinion. But again, I don't know enough about the back room and like kind of what the sayings around Chelsea are, what the staff are saying, what the players are saying. So that's just a theory I'm throwing out there.
Alan, by the way, we could hear you. We were hearing you. You just couldn't hear us. That's one of the things.
No, it's absolutely fine. So in regards to the Chelsea thing, I believe Potter will work wonders at Chelsea at given time, and I'll tell you for why. So you've got teams who have done it over 2 or 3 seasons, where they've got like 6, 7, 8 players, 9 players in over that period of time. Chelsea this season, I think, have brought in how many players, Roy? It's over 10 or 12, isn't it? The amount of players you bought this season. So yeah, double digits. The only other team that we've seen that bought that many is Nottingham Forest, and obviously they're struggling and stuff. It's going to take time. You can't put all that amount of players and all that in the space of half a season and go work and click. Yes, you've got a lot of talent there, but it's going to take time to find who works best with who, in what formation, can they adapt to formation? Like, It's not going to work in 6 months. But I've seen signs in the way they're playing where they're looking like they're progressing. We're a slow burner, but it's not going to happen overnight. Chelsea fans, obviously, I'm not implying royalness, but some Chelsea fans are like, because they got so used to success happening instantly, they expect it to happen. Otherwise, Potter's gone and they'll get a new manager in. Forgetting Todd Bowley brought Potter in, so Bowley is either going to stick with Potter or give it to the end of the season and see what the consensus is there, how it progresses from here. Chelsea fans aren't.
What's progression, Alan? What's progression? Like, what are
What's
the results
progression?
at the end of the season? What are the results that Todd Bowley can sit and measure and say, yes, we have progressed. Yes, I see signs.
Okay.
What are these?
Okay. Well, it depends on what he deems worthy of it. It could be like, I don't think he's going to be the Roman Abramovich type where he'll be like, you don't work 6 months, I'll get somebody else in. You don't work after you get. I don't think he is, because he's building a team to last for 6-7 years. I think he got Potter in because he thinks he can do that job over that period of time. So I just don't think sacking managers right, left, and centre. And like I said, performances are getting better. I think if they get top 6 and they get European football, I believe then Potter will start next season. I think it gives him more time to get the team shaped how he wants, and I think they kick on from there. But I don't think it's going to be a thing where it's going to be to the point now where they were going to be in a top 4 race or challenging for the title. Especially when you look back to Tuchel, they weren't playing that well under Tuchel either before he went. So it was problems before and after. It's not just happened now.
Roy, is that the Champions League? Do you believe you can win that? You believe that it's anybody's competition now? You're in quarterfinal.
As in, this is gonna sound crazy.
The question is, if you win it, does that everything is forgiven? It's done. It doesn't matter. We just start again next year.
Like right now, as in, I'm still Potter out right now because I just don't believe tactically he's good enough, and I don't think he's gonna instill the culture that's needed to get us to a sustainable winning model like we've seen at PEP Man City, for example. So that's why I want him out. But in terms of Champions League, this is going to sound crazy, but I believe our players know how to turn up for these games. And I actually think we'll get past Madrid. I know the first time we beat them, the second time they beat us, but I think we'll go to the Bernabeu, get a draw, and I think we'll manage to get it done at the Bridge. I know that seems crazy right now considering we just drew to Everton at home, so what hope does that give us against Real Madrid? But I've seen these players turn up for games like this, and I believe they will do it again. But in terms of winning the whole thing, I just can't see it. I think City or Bayern Munich will be a step too far, and ultimately that's probably where our journey will end. But I think for Potter to survive till next season, I feel like all he has to do is just not drop down the table anymore, to be honest. I think, honestly, if he finishes 10th, and if we got to Real Madrid, we got to Real Madrid. They're a good side, they're a quality side. They showed us last season that they can beat us. So as long as he doesn't drop to like 12th, 13th, 14th place, then I think Bowley's going to give him time, because I think he really is hell bent on a sustainable project. He believes his founders go. If it takes one bad season to just firm the pain and to know that there could be light at the end of the tunnel, I think he's willing to do that. But so yeah, I personally think as long as Potter doesn't drop to a stupid position like 13th, 14th, and we're literally battling relegation, I don't see any way he doesn't start next season, or an elite manager who we simply cannot turn down becomes available.
Like who?
Like Pep. I like to think if Pep became available in the summer, there's no way Bowley's not sacking Potter for him.
Obviously, Pep wouldn't join Chelsea. He wouldn't join the Premier League club.
No, he wouldn't. But I'm saying, like, if a manager of that caliber or someone that good became available, then I'd expect Bowley to make the move.
I mean, Luis Enrique is available.
I know. I think that I've already said I really want Lucho. Like, ever since I decided I was Potter out and I didn't want him anymore, I thought Enrique was the best choice. But
I don't know why clubs are not fighting over Luis. I don't know why Spurs and Chelsea are not fighting. Like, he's available. He's one of the best managers we've seen.
I don't think Bowley wants him.
But it just doesn't make any sense.
Bowley wants someone who he can like sort of
control.
Yes, man. He can be buddy with. Isn't gonna push back too much. Like, I'm not saying
Enrique's going on his Twitch channel and complaining about you. Let's be real.
Like Lucho's not. He's not as extreme as Conte, where if he doesn't get what he wants, he makes it very, very clear. He'll throw his toys out of the pram and shit will hit the fan. But he's also not someone that, if you just say, oh, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, he's not just going to accept it if he doesn't feel that fits in with what he wants. So I think, like, even with Tuchel, like, I personally think Tuchel was an elite tactician, one of the best tacticians in the world. But the results wasn't just the reason he got sacked. And then his relationship with Bowley wasn't good. Like,
I disagree
Tuchel
with
just
you
wanted to strictly
completely.
coach. He didn't want to do all the other. He didn't want to do all the other stuff that that he was in charge of at the time, because we didn't have a we basically didn't have a board, and Tuchel really didn't want to do all that. So his relationship with Bowley was strained. He didn't really want to chat to him. Bowley was doing like WhatsApp calls and meetings and all this stuff that he wasn't interested in, and hence the relationship became sour. So once results got worse, then Bowley made the move and got rid of him. So I think he just wants someone he can be buddy with, a bit of a yes man, and obviously can be here for the long term and get results.
Before we move on from Chelsea, I just want to throw out a question. Is that all because Pep is so good in leagues that everybody is struggling around him? Even Jurgen Klopp now. People, if you look at Jurgen Klopp's time, it was supposed to be a successful time. It was to be way more successful than this. But because Pep is so elite in terms of like the league and how his team plays and the dominance, the authority they show every single game, it makes it hard to look at your manager and think he's doing okay.
Yeah, 100%. Like, honestly, as in, unless I'm an Arsenal fan, like, I can't look at my manager and say, you know what, that guy is going to beat Pep Guardiola to a league title. Because I personally think Klopp's Liverpool cycle was ended. Obviously, Arteta could win the league, but with Conte, with Potter, with Ten Hag, as in, obviously Ten Hag's days are very, very early, so it's probably a bit premature to say this, but I just don't see anyone who could stop Pep from winning a league title at the moment.
Wait, it's premature for Ten Hag, but not Graham Potter. Okay, interesting.
No. Obviously, Potter can't beat Pep to a title either. Like, come on. I didn't even consider Potter, but like, yeah, I just think his league dominance is made to the point where everyone wants to be like him. The only way you can beat him is to join him, basically, where you find a manager who's hopefully just as good. You give them money, you give them time, like Arsenal did, and they're actually reaping the rewards of it, where they could be about to take a title off him.
Yeah,
you just need a student of Pep's. That's all you need.
One of the things, yes, I think actually one of the things is one of the things that Pep does very, very well, and I said that a year ago, and I said that before. He creates a system that will work against 90% of the teams in the world, or 95% of the teams in the world. Nobody has the quality to break that system. Not everybody. Some like very, very selective teams will have the quality to break that way of playing football. And that's why in every league, like in La Liga, he was superior. In the Bundesliga, he was. By the way, before he joined the Bundesliga, Dortmund were better than Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga. Yeah. In the Bundesliga, but he came and the dominance he showed. When he came to the Premier League, it took him 1 year. Yes, it took him 1 year, but because the Premier League is different. But it took him 1 year, and then the way he plays football is so superior to everybody, to like 17 out of the 19 teams he's gonna face, that it's very hard to beat him in a 38 games. You might beat him in a one game. You might beat him in one game, but to 38 games, he is so superior. It's unbelievable watching the way he plays football. That is why I'm saying that he is the best manager ever to create a system that works in football. It's proven that it's worked for 12 years now. It's working. But Arsenal, you play the same way. Arteta is trying to play the same way. From the goalkeeper, building from the back, taking risks, and not just booting the ball and trying to create the same system. It is unbelievable. And that's what I'm saying, that this league becomes so hard because he is there. Today against Burnley, I didn't watch the game, and I was watching a little bit of the highlights and the stats. It's utter dominance. It's unbelievable. Against a small team, you will never win. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you need to hope for an off day if you want to beat him.
Which is different.
I think even the off days, bro, they're very good.
Yeah. Even on an off day, they'll still manage to grind out like against Palace where they won 1-0, or Fulham.
On an off day, you'll beat them like a hard fought 1-0.
Or like what
Yeah.
United, or like how United beat them with a controversial goal, or
Yeah.
Brentford sitting back and hoping for 3 attacks and it just worked. But I don't see ever Man City being dominated. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. There's no blueprint to get the better of them.
But exactly, and this is why it's very hard for managers like Potter, like Conte, like Ten Hag is trying, but again, as Sol said, you might have to be a student of Pep to be able to beat him.
My manager only has 6 months under him. We only have 6 months. We didn't have 2 years like Arteta. That's all.
Even with this Arteta,
No, but you can go. You can go.
I actually don't think Arteta plays. I think Arteta obviously took some of Pep's principles. Like, you don't work for Pep for that long and not take his principles into your coaching. That would just be rubbish. But I feel like he's a bit of a mixture between Pep and Klopp in a way that obviously he wants his team to sustain pressure, dominate games like Pep's teams do, but also he does want his team to be physical. He wants them to be duel-winning monsters like Klopp's Liverpool, where at their prime, it wasn't just keeping the ball. That kind of domination which we saw from Klopp's teams. It was physical domination. They would win every duel. They would be in your face, relentless, direct attack after attack after attack, and eventually teams would crumble and concede, and that's how Liverpool went on to win so many games. So I think Arteta sort of tries to take a bit of both, where he's got a very compact defense. His teams are able to win duels and get in teams' faces and sustain pressure. But also, they've got the Pep side where we've seen them string pass after pass after pass after pass. They combine really well in the final third, and he's honestly got the best of both worlds. And good for him because he's reaping the rewards of it.
There's a super chat from Kingsley Twom here is saying people forget Jose bullied Pep in La Liga. I completely disagree. He won one league.
That was one season.
Yeah,
one season.
No one's ever bullied.
And I think they knocked him out of the Champions League 2 years in a row or something, if I'm not mistaken. And the cup, you remember that year when they knocked him out of the Champions League and the cup?
Yeah, they battered them.
Listen, I'm a Jose guy. I'm an Inter fan, so I'm a Jose guy. But it's not about winning against Pep. Alan, is that what you were hoping in Conte, like a system guy? That because Conte did it before, 13 games in a row. You remember with Chelsea, he won.
Yeah, Conte has beaten Pep to a title.
He won 13 games in a row, which is a record at that time in the Premier League since 1992.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Alan. We're listening.
Yeah. I'll tell you, that's what I wanted. Like, no, Conte did have for the players he's got. It's going against. It's just a mess. But he wants, like obviously with Chelsea, it was the wing backs. Obviously, look what he done with Victor Moses. It's just not happened at Spurs, and that's the problems that are occurring with Spurs.
Yeah.
If he's playing now, Spurs fans hold the opposite opinion, saying that we didn't get all the players he wanted, but he did. It's just one of them things that keep happening with Spurs fans. We change the narrative, or some change the narrative. Is it me that keeps dropping out, or is it you guys?
It's you. And I see connection goes red somehow on my screen. But and it is what it is. Before we move on, I'm not sure. Before I want to move on to Arsenal. Last thing, tomorrow you play Crystal Palace Souls. You can get 8 points ahead. A lot of pressure on City when they come back. I know Man City fans don't like to say that because they want to say one game at a time. But when you play a game against Liverpool and you're 8 points behind the leaders and you want to play, you want to win the league. They're not only focused on the Champions League. This team is focused on everything. How are you seeing this game? I see this game as one of the most important games yet in Arsenal season. This Crystal Palace game.
100%. I think obviously getting knocked out of the Europa League as well in the way that we did, They need a bounce back. They need to win this game, go into the international break, not on 2 back-to-back losses. They need to go into it with, okay, we're at the Europa League, but now we've gained an 8-point advantage on Man City, given the game in hand. But, they're going to play Liverpool now. Yes, if you're looking at recent history, Liverpool have lost at the Etihad, whereas with, obviously Man City have beaten them there. And, it's probably going to go back to being 5 points. But that's what we need to do. We need to somewhat play the mind games with Pep Guardiola. We need to get into their heads a little bit and put the pressure on them and say, do you know what? We've done our job. Now it's over to you. You better not bottle it. And the pressure that we can put onto them to say, you have to win. There is no, we can take a draw, because they're now chasing us. Like Haaland said, we're the hunters. So that's, what it is, right? Man City, yes, they love to do it. They are sharks. When they smell blood, they're going to come and pounce on it. But, when you're consistently putting that kind of pressure on them, especially when they've got to go to the Champions League and play Bayern Munich as well, that's the kind of mental edge we need, in my opinion. And that's all we can do. All we have to do is just beat Crystal Palace and do that to them. I mean, look, people are going to obviously say, well, Man City have been here before. Will the pressure be on them? But to me, it's, look, every season's different. Every player's going to look at it differently. They're going to look at the Liverpool game and think, okay, 8 points. We need to close this gap, because it could, look, as much as they're on for a treble, it could go from winning a treble to winning nothing, because Champions League isn't guaranteed. And an FA Cup, even though they are basically winners and they're the favourites, you can just hand it over to them. Something can happen. And the league, I mean, obviously they're at the moment, they're the chasers, so they're second fiddles to everything at the moment. But like I said, they could win a treble, or they could win, one, or they could win everything, or they could win nothing. So yeah, I just think we've got to gain the mental advantage on them, especially when they've absolutely destroyed, RB Leipzig, and then
Burnley. By the way, this is Man City's business. This is what Daps always says. Man City's business into the season. I think it has started.
They toyed. They did. Do you know what it was? It was like, what the opponent had no right to be on this pitch. They had no right to play this Man City team. That's how they made it look. And I think that's the worrying thing, because we have to be on our A game, and we can't slip up anymore. And especially going into sort of the international break for 2 weeks, I don't want a back-to-back loss. I need to win this and bounce back.
I see this Man City is the Man City that will go in like 6, 7, 8 games winning streak. I'm not sure about you guys, Michael or Roy. This is the Man City we have seen before. Like, watching them play now, it's just, okay, they clicked. Haaland is scoring goals left and right. He knows where to be, and everybody around him knows exactly where to put the ball, and he's scoring goals. So they have all the formula. They solved the equation now, and it looks like they're clicking. It's happening. This is business. End of the season, we'll do the job now. We'll do our job. Yes, we're behind Arsenal 5 points, but only thing we can do is just keep winning games. And I see that happening. I'm not sure about you guys.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Pep has found something. Maybe it's like this new 3-back formation, but Haaland, like scoring 8 goals in like 2 games or 7 goals in 2 games, absolutely ridiculous. Like, he's on 42 goals this season. I think he's like 5 off the all comps for the Premier League and everything like that all time. It's just ridiculous. And I do agree with you. I don't think they're losing a game the rest of the season. So what Arsenal need to do is make sure that if they somehow lose that game at the Etihad, they're still top of that table. And what they also need to do is get that goal difference. I think Arsenal have started to catch up to Man City in the goal difference, because they started pumping up teams a lot more now. They need to continue that, because Palace tomorrow, they have no manager. We need to pump them 4-0. I know new manager bounce and everything, but the game's at the Emirates. I know you're not going to have Saliba, so Rob Holding will be starting.
But they don't have a manager, so there is no manager.
No excuses. No excuses. Come on.
No excuses tomorrow. They need to make sure that game at the Etihad is going to be tough, and they need to make sure that if they lose that game, they're still top of the table, because if they're not top of the table after that game at the Etihad, I think Man City will win the league. So they have to continue putting that pressure on. And also, like he said, back-to-back while going international break will ruin your head, because you're just going to be thinking for 2 weeks, Man City are catching up to us. Man City are catching up to us. And the game, since the Liverpool game's at the Etihad, Man City will probably win that. If it was at Anfield, I'd say a little tricky, because Arsenal still got to go to Anfield. and St. James Park. Those are not two places. And I think at the back of Arsenal's minds, that St. James Park from last year will be a factor. And this Newcastle team is better than the team that pumped them last year. So it's going to be really interesting. I don't think the title race is anywhere near finished at all.
Yeah, from here on, Alan, who do you see winning the league? Not who you want. Who do you see winning the league? Looking at the runs. Because I know you want City to win it, obviously, but it's just...
Yeah. If I'm being honest, obviously, I want City to win it. I'm not going to sit here and deny that. Who do I think will win it? I hate saying it, but I think it'll be Arsenal, and I'll tell you for why. Arsenal obviously look a complete team in the fact that now there's loads of people, myself included, earlier in the season when they face adversity, obviously after the World Cup, how will they come back? When results go against them, they had the little blip, but they then won 5 on the bounce. And it's like, okay, I know I said this at the start of the season. I will give Arsenal credit when it gets to this part of the season and beyond, where they're still there, and they are. So I give them their credit. I can't, knock them for it. I'd be a fool to come here and say, oh no, they're absolutely, you can have banter between fans, but you've got to just admit when Arsenal are good. Man City have a goal-scoring machine in Haaland. They have obviously Kevin De Bruyne, one of the best players in like playmakers in world football. They've got problems in the fact they're not a complete team like they were the previous season. They have where you can get at them now. Obviously, like Spurs showed that, but Man City have dropped more points than they probably should have, this season. Yeah, I want Man City to prove me wrong. I really do. But I think unfortunately, it's going to them down the road, and it's really going to annoy me because I can see Gunnarssol's smug face already. I can see him. He's trying to hold it in, but I can see the smugness already. And I do a stream with a gal every week, so I'm just going to have to put up with him all through the summer as well. So, yeah, it's already becoming unbearable. But I said, if Arsenal get a point or get any points against Man City in either 2 games, they'll win it for sure. And obviously, Man City have won 1 game against them. If Arsenal do get points away at Man City, the league's done. But never count out, because when it did get to the actual crucial point last season, they were 4 points ahead with 3 games to go, and they did fold. So it may play on their mind again. So we'll have to wait and see whether they do overcome that right at the nitty-gritty at the end. Will they do that? But as of now, every question that's been asked of them, they've answered it, and they're still there where they are. So you can only give them credit, and I hate saying that to an Arsenal team, I really do. But I'd be a fool to say that they're anything but doing really well this season. Obviously, top of the table.
Roy, how do you see this? Let me ask you a question in a different way. If Arsenal don't win the league, do you see them go next year to doing the same thing, pushing City, being there and thereabout, or you see them falling apart?
I think I don't think this is just a one-time thing from Arsenal where they'll just challenge and then go back to just being perennial top 4 contenders. Like, they've got a team that's capable of winning the Premier League title, and in the summer they will look to reinforce. Like, if I'm just looking at their squad, I think they need an attacking right back. I think they need an upgrade on Xhaka. I think they need someone to play when Saka needs rest, because he's getting overplayed. Let's call a spade a spade. Saka's been overplayed this season, and I think they need a winger who can play on both sides, maybe like a Moussa Diaby or someone like that. So there are definitely places in their squad where they can upgrade, and I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be able to challenge for the title next year if they're doing so well this year. So yeah, I think they'll definitely be there next season. But in terms of who wins the league, I've said for a while I think Arsenal are going to win it. I just think they look like the best outfit, and everyone's sort of hoping that, Man City just click into gear and go on a 12, 13, 14 match winning run. But they might be able to go on that run. But Arsenal don't even have to match that. Arsenal just have to not lose the Etihad and get enough points elsewhere. And I personally think if Arsenal have a fully fit squad available, I actually don't think they'll lose at the Etihad personally. I think they'll be able to get a result, whether that's a draw or a win, I don't know. But because in the game at the Emirates, I know City ran away 3-1 winners, but they made two stupid mistakes. And I think Tomiyasu tried to pass it back to Ramsdale, and De Bruyne just went in there and chipped him. That was a silly mistake. And then I think it was a silly mistake for the Grealish goal as well, I think, or the Haaland one, I can't remember. But I think if they go there Everyone does their job. They don't make any stupid mistakes. I actually think they can very easily walk away with 3 points, if not one. So I think, yeah, this league is Arsenal's. I think they know how to beat the small teams. They don't struggle with beating small teams. And I personally think this City that what everyone's hoping to see, yes, they've been good the past few games. Don't get me wrong. Haaland's been in immense goal-scoring form. But City have tough games coming up as well. And City can be got at more than Arsenal can. So for me, I think it's going to North London as much as it pains me to say it.
Is that better for the league, for Arsenal to win the league or Man City to keep dominating this league?
I mean, if we're talking from a competition standpoint, then obviously you don't want to see the same team winning every year. So I guess from that standpoint, then it's good for Arsenal. But let's be honest, no one cared if City win the league. So when they win the league, nobody gets all the banter and the stick and all this stuff shoved down their throats all summer. If Arsenal win the league, everybody knows a bunch of Arsenal fans. So we know that we're going to be hearing it all summer how,
summer. You're going to hear it until next May. You're going to be until next May, until someone else wins it.
Yeah.
It's just going to be until May.
So everyone's going to be, put your Premier League title on the table. This person's now the best in their position. Saka's done this. Tell Rashford to do this. Like, you know what it's going to be like, man.
No. Let it go.
Yeah. Anyway, we can hear Alan if he's talking.
I am going in my life. It will just be non-stop with these guys, really.
Anyway, I can hear you very well, Alan. But anyway, guys, we've been going for an hour. I want to thank my guests, Alan. Time Added On. Make sure to check his channel. It's in the description. Time Added On. Roy, Chelsea, Michael Griggs. We do a lot of shows together, Michael. Pleasure to have you. And Gunnar Souls. Love conversation with him. Always constructive. Always great conversation. And thanks everybody that watched us. Make sure to hit that like button before you go. Get the likes up as fast as you can if you haven't. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. And hopefully everybody's safe. Happy Mother's Day to everybody in the UK. The only country, I didn't know that it's the only country in the world that have Mother's Day in March, where everybody else celebrates in May. Somehow they have it there in March. But happy Mother's Day to all the mothers and all the mother figures as well. And hopefully we'll see you guys soon. And we're out of here.